Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we are going to be looking more at political parties, their history, and just how they differ. So, we're going to start off by talking about America's first political parties. Now, it wasn't always the Democrats and the Republicans. The first political parties in our country were the Federalists and the Democratic Republicans. Now, the Federalists were led by John Adams, whereas the Democratic Republicans were led by Thomas Jefferson. The Federalists represented cities and upper-class interests. So this was the more wealthy people, the people that had more like business owners and things like that. So the wealthier people were favored by the Federalists, whereas the Democratic Republicans represented farmers and the common man. So the working class people, the lower class people, they were the ones that were more represented by the Democratic Republicans. The Federalists favored strong executive and a loose interpretation of the Constitution, whereas the Democratic Republicans favored a strict interpretation of the Constitution. So now we're going to be talking about political eras over time. Throughout our history, we have had different political eras. And the first one was the era of the Democrats, which was 1800 to 1860. During this time, Democrats dominate all but two presidential elections. The Whig Party emerges in 1834, but declines by 1850s, electing only two presidents. So the Whig Party came about during this time, but while they were a dominant political force in their times, they only were around for 16 years, give or take. So while they did have a lot of power at that time, they did not stick around. The Republican Party is founded in 1854. So that begins the era of the Republicans, which was from 1860 to 1932. Republicans dominate all but four presidential elections. So during this time, a lot of Republicans win the White House. The Democratic Party maintains state and local power in the solid South. So during this time, a lot of the southern states went Democratic in their elections, but as far as the presidential elections were concerned, during this time, Republicans dominated in that area. And then from 1932 to 1968, we have what's called Return of the Democrats. Democrats dominate all but two presidential elections. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is elected president a record 4 times. So, if you don't know, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the president during World War II. So he is elected president a record 4 times. Since 1968, neither Republicans nor Democrats have dominated the presidency, and Congress has often been controlled by the opposing party. So we're going to run through a brief history since 1968. From 1968 to 1976, Republicans hold the presidency and Congress is controlled by the Democrats. In 1976 to 1980, Democrats hold the presidency and Congress is controlled by Democrats. From 1980 to 1992, Republicans hold the presidency, and the Senate is controlled by Republicans from 1980 to 1986, and controlled by Democrats from 1986 to 1994. At this time, in 1992 to 2000, Democrats hold the presidency, and Congress is controlled by Republicans. And then from 2000 to 2008, Republicans hold the presidency and Congress is controlled by Republicans. So, as you can see, since then, political parties and power have kind of been going back and forth, pretty consistently. From 2008 to 2016, Democrats hold the presidency and Congress first controlled by Democrats, but later Republicans. Okay, so there are 4 types of minor parties in America. Minor parties are also called third parties. So the first type of party is called an ideological party. These are parties that are founded on the one strong belief. If there's a group of people that have one belief, they will hold to that and form a party from it. This is a little different from a single issue party. Now, a single issue party is a party that is formed with the purpose of putting all their effort behind one issue. The picture here talks about green energy and green activities. So that would be a single issue party. If they are all concerned with environmental protection and that's pretty much their only thing that they're concerned with, they would be considered a single issue party. Now, next we have what's called an economic protest party. And these are parties that come about due to economic distress. If there is a economic recession or depression, an economic protest party may come up, and they are a party where their only concern really is with getting the economy back on track. An economic protest party, an example of that in recent history would be from a few years back. The Tea Party, TEA party, came about, and it was an economic protest party due to tax rates. TEA stood for taxed enough already. And then the last type of minor party is called a splinter party. And what a splinter party is if there's one of the major parties and there are a growing number of people in one that have one idea, and they all band together and they try to change the mind of the major party that they're a part of, but enough people won't join them. They will splinter off. They will break off and form their own party. An example of this in the past was called the Bull Moose Party. This was a party that was led by Theodore Roosevelt after his presidency. All right, the importance of minor parties. We talk about how they may not have a lot of success or anything like that, so it's why would you want to join their party? Well, there are some important roles that a minor party can serve. There's the first role is called the spoiler role, and this can pull decisive votes away from one of the major party's candidates. If they run a campaign that is similar to one of the major candidates, maybe there will be candidates that they will pull votes away from. Critic often take stands on and draw attention to controversial issues that the major parties would prefer to ignore. If there is an issue that the major parties are not paying attention to, maybe one of these minor parties might run a campaign, run a platform based on that idea. And they are criticizing the major political parties, and that can get a major political party candidate's attention and say, hey, maybe I do need to take a look at this. They also serve the role of innovator, and they draw attention to important issues and propose innovative solutions to problems. If you're a third-party candidate, you might be in a position where you might come up with an interesting idea to an issue that the country is facing, and you can use your support with the party to propose your idea, and once again may influence the major candidates in order to get them to see your point of view. Okay, political party membership. Now, many factors can influence party affiliation. This could be age, your family, religion, occupation, major events, or economic status. Now, all of these factors can influence what political party you are a part of. And a lot of people change political parties. I myself, whenever I first registered to vote, I was of one political party, and then I changed to another later in life. Whenever you register to vote, you're not locked into one party affiliation. You could change it every day if you so choose, but so don't let people tell you that once you pick a party you have to stick with it. You don't. You can change your party whenever. Also, whenever you go to vote in the in the general election, the election that the one that like definitively chooses who's like, and I'm talking in the scope of the presidency, the general election is the one where you actually vote for who you want to in office. You know, you could be a member of one party and vote for the other party's candidate. There's nothing that makes you vote for your political party candidate except in what's called a primary election, and we'll get into that whenever we talk about elections. So, but as far as political party membership goes, there are a lot of things that might drive a person to prefer one political party over another, but it is a personal choice, and you just have to sit down and think about it and what issues are important to you, and figure out your own affiliation, or if you even have one. You can register as an independent voter where you don't have a party affiliation. Okay, the political spectrum. There are several ways to identify and describe political parties and where they fall on a spectrum. And here are some terms that I'm sure you've heard if you've listened to any sort of political discussions. I'm sure you've heard the term left wing or right wing. Well, what that refers to is a left wing person would be considered more Democrat leaning, whereas a right wing person would be more Republican leaning. Other terms that are used for left wing people are the terms liberal and progressive. These are both terms that are often tied to the Democratic Party. Conservative is another word that is used, and it is typically to describe someone that is on the right-wing side of politics or in a member of the Republican Party. So, to sum that up, a left-wing person is a liberal and a progressive, and typically will be members of the Democratic Party. Now, whereas on the other hand, a right-wing person is typically a conservative and a member of the Republican Party. Now, those terms might be confusing to you, like what's a liberal, what's a conservative. We will get into that in the next section. So if those words are still a little vague to you, you're not really sure what they mean, like I said, the next lesson will get into that. So, now one thing that I do want to make perfectly clear to everybody is this word right here, spectrum. That means that there's a wide range of beliefs. You don't have to be clear on one side or clear on the other. You can be anywhere in between here, you know. And just because you do choose to be affiliated with one party over another does not mean you have to support everything that party stands for. Doesn't mean you have to support that party's candidate. You know, it is a personal decision. And you can vote for whoever you choose. You can believe however you choose. And you don't have to choose a party at all. Most people do, but you don't have to. So, and just because you might have some beliefs that are on one side and other beliefs that are on the other. I do. My own personal beliefs. I have beliefs of both sides. But it's just you have to sit down and think about what things are most important to you and figure out for yourself what your political ideology is. So the next video that we get into, we will be discussing the terms liberal and conservative. What do they mean? Are you a liberal? Are you a conservative? Those are the sort of things that we will get into in the next video. So that's going to be it for this one. I hope everybody's having a great day, and I'll see you again real soon.